By Jamie Eisenberg at Jamie Eisenberg 15H ago 36 minutes. Redmore Week 14 waiver wire, trade values, streaming options, rankings, stardom and sit-em, cheat sheet, sleepers, DFS values. Wow, when did Week 14 get here? It seems like just yesterday we were debating David Johnson versus Le'Veon Bell, waiting for an initial progress report on Andrew Luck's shoulder and trying to figure out who would be the best rookie running back this season. It goes by fast. This week is the start of the fantasy playoffs in the majority of leagues, and if you're reading this then you are probably alive in the postseason tournament. All your draft preparation, free agent moves and tough lineup decisions over the past 13 weeks have paid off in a big way. Congratulations! And now it's time to win the whole freaking thing. Your team is hopefully set with only a few lineup decisions to deal with, although injuries Joe Mixon and Zach Ertz, for example, and suspensions Rob Gronkowski and Juju Smith-Schuster could make for some tough choices. What, did you expect winning in the playoffs to be easy? Well, do our best to steer you in the right direction. And hopefully I will be setting your lineup for at least one more time in Week 15. For now, well, just wish you good luck. Because as much as skill and being a good fantasy player got you to this point, it will take a little bit of luck to win a championship. Headers note: projections are provided by CBS Sports and not Jamie Eisenberg. Start of the week: the Chargers looked like they were headed for a disastrous campaign when the 2017 season began. They lost their first 4 games, including 2 because of missed field goals, and some NFL pundits were questioning if Philip Rivers was done at 35 years old. Fast forward to Week 13, and the Chargers look like the best team in the AFC West. Although they are tied with the Chiefs and Raiders at 66, the Chargers have passed the eyeball test of late with their recent level of play. And a big reason has been Rivers. He comes into Week 14 against the Redskins averaging 343 passing yards in his past 3 games, with 6 touchdowns and no interceptions over that span. The Chargers are 30 in those games. Rivers is averaging 24.3 fantasy points in those outings against Buffalo, Dallas and Cleveland, and he's scored at least 19 points in 4 of his past 5 games. He's taken advantage of some plus matchups, and he should do the same thing this week against Washington. The Redskins are allowing an average of 19.5 fantasy points a game to opposing quarterbacks, and 3 of their past 5 opponents have scored at least 25 points, with 4 quarterbacks scoring at least 18. Rivers has played well at home this season, and he's averaging 20.8 fantasy points in his past 4 games in Los Angeles. And he should have another strong performance this week against the Redskins to help the Chargers in their quest to win the AFC West. For what it's worth, I expect the Chargers to win the division. And I expect Rivers to help fantasy owners win their playoff matchup this week. I'm starting Rivers over Carson Wentz at LAR, Russell Wilson at Jack, Jared Goff versus Phi, Cam Newton versus Drew Brees at Adel quarterback sleeper Jimmy Garoppolo at how the Texans allow the most fantasy points to opposing quarterbacks, and Garoppolo is worth using as a streaming option. He fared well in his first start for the 49ers at Chicago in Week 13 when he passed for 293 yards and completed 70.3% of his passes, along with an interception. He should have a better fantasy performance this week, and I like him as a low-end starting option in all formats. Josh McCown at Den. This might seem like a tough matchup against the Broncos, who are getting cornerback Aqib Talib back from his 1-game suspension last week at Miami, but Denver has allowed 4 of the past 5 opposing quarterbacks to score at least 20 fantasy points. McCown has 62 fantasy points combined against Carolina and Kansas City in the past 2 games, and this is now 7 games this year with at least 18 points. McCown is worth trusting in this game on the road. Brett Hundley at Clee. Hundley let us down last week in a major way given his matchup with the Buccaneers at home, and he only scored 7 fantasy points. But he's still worth a look in 2 quarterback leagues this week with the matchup at Cleveland. The Browns have allowed an average of 20.3 fantasy points to opposing quarterbacks this season, and only Marcus Mariota in Week 7 and Blake Bortles in Week 11 failed to score at least 17 points against Cleveland this year. This is likely Hundley's last start this season, with Aaron Rodgers' collarbone expected to return in Week 15. Bust alerts: Wilson being listed here does not mean sit him. I have him ranked no. 11, which makes him a starter in the majority of leagues. But I don't like him as much as Rivers, Dalton or Winston this week, among others. And I am nervous about the matchup against Jacksonville. While Wilson has scored at least 22